So yeah, you don't know. You don't have any idea what caused the crash.
No. Might have just been too many plasma turrets. I might have just gotten friendly fired.
That's true. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy!
Okay.
This is crazy. This is crazy. Wowzers. You know what? Here's a proposition for another potential issue. I reckon the aliens might be breeding so fast that it's putting like a huge amount of load on something. I don't know if that's a valid.
Could be. I... Yeah. That's part of the reason why I was thinking it would be worthwhile for me to evict them from our immediate premises. Because if we can get them out of the pollution zone and then keep our pollution locked in, I don't think they'll expand as much.
Yeah.
I think they inevitably will, but not as much. Especially if we actually bother to plant a bunch of trees.
Planting trees and doing the air filtration will completely revolutionize our problems. Okay. So let's buffer you here. How many logistics robots do we need? I know the answer is as many as we possibly can. But like, how many do we need in order to make a functional logistics network for air filters?
Not many.
Okay.
If it's purely just for air filters,
purely air filters. Okay, yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy, okay. Electric motor. Oh man. There's so many different types of motors. It's weird, actually. Okay, we need 6 copper cables. Fine. Alright.
oh wow. Yeah, we've got tons of iron now. This is a good feeling.
I mean, I guarantee you, if I was to take a couple of hundred belts out of the red belt chest, we would almost certainly run out, like, very quickly.
Absolutely.
It's, yeah, did we ever do any mining research, like proper mining research for mining purposes? Just thinking.
Don't think so. There we go. We now have a landfill factory going.
Okay, that's nice. Oh.
Not that it matters too much for you, but now I don't have to just snag stone to make it myself.
That's no, it's still good news. It's still good news. We could actually, I tell you what, if we wanted to expand, we could just fill in like this massive lake that is below us. We could just do that.
So, what I'm doing is I'm expanding north. Do you see I'm starting to kind of build an annex? What I'm going to do is cut the aliens off north and south.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
And
I
then,
see.
just take that area for myself.
You're nefarious.
Works.
It does. It's true. Very true.
And it's going to get us a bunch of biomass. Speaking of, I should probably hand you some of this.
Honestly,
Or are we good?
just stick it into. Actually, yeah, I'll come grab it. I still think we need more biolabs. I'll come get it from you. Oh goodness gracious me! Oh, hold up. Let me see if I can get a shovel. Oh, look, I got. can get biomass from this zone here.
Oh.
Kind of nice.
Yep.
I think that's...
Alright, there you go.
Thank you. Oh, wonderful.
You should have a whole bunch now.
I do indeed. That'll make another couple of labs, and that'll make my job a little bit easier. Okay, but yeah, we are now automating military tech cards, which is kind of nice. So we should be able to... I mean, we should be able to research basically anything that we want now. Which is kind of lovely. Okay.
I need steel. Oh boy.
We got a lot of steel, I think.
We do.
Okay. I think it is one of the few resources that we have in abundant quantities.
Until we start using it.
It's
I
true.
think with the mod pack we have, we're not using as much, which is quite nice.
I don't think I don't think I have any use for steel at all. Like, really, in any process at this moment in time. Pipe. There we go. Yeah, straight up, it's just not been in super high demand. I guess maybe in like advanced tech or whatever. Okay. Cool. So yeah, if you do have more biomass at any point, just let me know. Cause yeah, we'll need it.
I should get a fair bit from this mess.
There we go. Okay. It's just, it does take a long time to make biomass manually. It takes, yeah, 60 seconds. 60 seconds, and it only gives you 5, so... And you require 10 to make biter research data, so yeah, it takes a significant length of time. But we'll get there. No doubt. Okay. Alrighty. Also, something else that I'd like to query. I do feel like we should try and get some automated robots driving around, just for the sake of filling the world up with AI robots, right? I feel like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty close to logistics, right?
Oh yeah, I know. Sorry, I didn't mean flying robots. I meant driving robot, like cars.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Because we've got the robot army mod installed, which I don't think is going to work terribly well, but it might be great. I don't know if we get later tiers or whatever. But we've also got like mining robots and chain gunners and haulers and a whole bunch of stuff actually.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'd say we're kind of in the leisure zone. Nothing needs to be done immediately.
Yeah.
So if you want to just, like, decide whatever the heck you want to do is robot time, go for it.
It's robot time. Yeah, I'll see.
I think our biggest limiting factor is just going to be biomass, which is solved by me finishing this crazy project and time.
Yeah.
Just letting the biomass generators do their thing.
It's very true. It's shockingly true.
Oh, this anti-material rifle is actually really good. Ow.
Another death. And it's
Yeah.
always the plasma turrets.
Oh yeah. No, I'm never close enough to the biters, but the plasma turrets have huge AoE here. So what other casual games appeal to you? Because I like the sound of this. I definitely miss like pickup games from when I was younger, just being like, hey, let's play. Well, I mean, what we did with Blazing Sails the other day.
Exactly, right? Like I just find that really, I find that really enjoyable. Like it's good fun. The problem is that well, Battlefield 3 was the big one for me, and then Dota, and then that was really it. I never really got into Hearthstone. I played Hearthstone a bit, but
Hearthstone is always one of those. I have a lot of trouble with competitive card games. Mainly just oops. I didn't realize we've got an oil field up here.
Wait, hey.
Holy shit. Oh. Yield is 100%. I have no idea how that works. There we go. Let's see.
But yeah.
So my biggest issue with things like Magic or Hearthstone is you always end up with somebody that plays more, collects more cards, or just is plain luckier.
Yeah.
And so they end up being the best player of like the group, and after a while just everybody slowly loses interest. Kind of what we're mildly running into with Among Us, how the people that actively play it have I'm not going to say a serious advantage, but there's that kind of feeling of I need to play more to catch up, but I got other things to do with my time.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's a good
Yeah,
example?
there's a significant skill
play a whole lot of-
discrepancy.
Yeah. And so that slowly poisons it from my perspective.
Yeah.
I had bad experiences with people in college who played a ton of Magic. And I was like, yeah, I'll play a little bit of Magic with you guys. And they just show up with their 20-year, multi-$1,000 decks.
Black Lotus,
got,
Supreme Overlord thing. Yeah.
And it's like, this was fun. I never want to play with you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
You keep dying. Oh, no.
I wonder if the plasma projectiles... Yeah, you know what? It's probably just I'm walking in the way. They're not shooting at me. They're just shooting in my general direction, and I just eat the bullet.
Yeah, they're shooting through you.
Yeah.
They are crazy. Do you reckon that was maybe what caused it? That caused the crash? Yeah.
They're still worth it. Like, they are significantly more effective than most other things. Where's my body? There it is.
Ooh. Ah.
I'll admit I've always been also more on the cooperative side of things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I didn't have a whole lot of friends growing up. I didn't have a whole lot of friends to play video games with growing up.
Yeah.
And so it was mostly just my brother and I. And my brother is, I'm not going to say like a savant at gaming, because that's probably mischaracterizing it. But he's really good at skill-based games. Like, I pick up games really fast, but I don't master them. Usually probably because I just lose interest pretty quick.
Okay.
But he, on the other hand, will master a game much faster than I. And so it ends up being not necessarily imbalanced, but like trying to play Smash Brothers against one guy that can solo 3 level 9 comps without breaking a sweat, and I'm still having trouble with one. It's like, yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to play Smash Bros against you, so I was just stuck against the computers.
Yeah.
And so anytime we would try and do like a face-off, either I'd have to... No, that one actually shot me.
Oh, it targeted you? It targeted you?
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure it didn't, but like the projectile always flies directly at me. And there's nothing on the other side.
I think there's a vendetta.
These things are me. Yeah? Oh, that's crude oil. That's my body.
Okay. Upgrade planner. Let's go. Alright. Man, I feel ya. I feel ya. I also, I don't know. I didn't really have many people around me when I was growing up that were super interested in video games. But I have to concur. I much prefer the cooperative aspect of video games. It's just much more enjoyable. Like, what's the point of competing? There's always a winner, always a loser. Just kind of sucks.
I can work with it kind of depending on the circumstances, like the Kerbal Space program, you know, space race idea that I had.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of competition I can work with, because then it doesn't matter. You know, who cares?
Yeah.
Who won or lost? It was everybody just kind of playing the game. Most competitive games get to me because it's just like, hey, I'm losing, therefore I just can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like poor Alexa for Wholesomeverse Live this week.
Yeah. Or
he wasn't actually able to play Among Us. He was just there to die or occasionally be very evil.
Yeah, but that's, to be fair, that's also Alexa in most games, though. Just never gets to enjoy them because he's too busy dying.
Oop, that's bad. That's bad. Okay.
How close are you to dying? How close are you to dying
Well,
yet
I've
again?
moved out of range of the plasma turrets, and I'm actually doing a decent job just with the anti-material rifle. Because as long as there isn't an alien in the way, I can snipe out most of the worms.
Okay.
Because I got... Ow, that's fire. I've got pretty long range. What I need is better guns so that I can chew through the little guys faster.
Chew through the little guys faster. Okay.
They're tough.
They are tough. I know. No, dude, I feel you. You know, you're doing wonderful stuff. You're saving our bacon, expanding our frontiers, moving sideways. It's excellent.
My moat looks like a bad set of tumors, though.
That's a
Aesthetically, I am not
horrible description.
not down with this. Okay, there we go.
I thought that notification was you dying again. I'll be honest.
Nope.
I was like 90%.
No, that was everything else dying. I'm just trying to keep our frame rate up.
That's fair. Okay. So here's a question: Do you read a lot? Are you a reader?
I used to. My problem is, to some degree, I've read everything I'm interested in, and so I'm kind of stuck for a little while until I find another book series to get really deep into. Then I start reading a ton.
What type of book is it? Sci-fi?
It's sci-fi or fantasy generally. I don't read a whole lot of nonfiction, just because I don't know. I guess the presentation of a lot of nonfiction is very slow and much drier for me. Same thing with anything kind of based out of real life.
Okay. Okay. I kind of used to be similar to that, but then I started like seeing the parallels between like slow bits in nonfiction and then slow bits in fiction, and then I was like, well, everything is as bad as everything else, so to speak, you know. Because you know there are the heroes have downtime in the hero's adventure. There are, you know, filler bits in any given series, which always irritated me a little bit.
What about you? What do you read?
I read a lot of stuff actually. I've really made like a concerted effort over the last like year and a half to try and get back into reading, because I think it's a habit that's super easy to fall out of if you're not like constantly exercising it. So I don't know. A lot of historical nonfiction is stuff that I enjoy. And then just sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy for my fiction stuff. A little bit of everything, to be honest. It's the whole shebang. Okay. Let's do this. Recently, it's been the Wheel of Time by
Yep.
you know the one? Have you read it?
Yeah. I started reading Wheel of Time a while back when I was in college.
Yeah.
Working at a it was between semesters, and I was working at a lab that was dissecting monkeys to research obsessive compulsive disorder.
What the heck?
Yeah. Ow, why? So effectively they would identify, I think it was capuchins that displayed obsessive compulsive tendencies.
Yeah.
Because
Is that
you know, a lot of animals do actually end up with similar.
is that a type of monkey? Just for clarity, I'm
Yeah, capuchins are a type of monkey.
okay.
And so, so they would identify the monkey. You know, say, hey, this one has potentially, you know, some markers. You know, you can't exactly cut up people, so you gotta
Next best thing.
you gotta
right?
do monkeys instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, a little grim. I'm not gonna deny.
Yeah.
But effectively, they would, you know, they would keep an eye on the monkey over the course of its lifespan, and then at some point, euthanize it, and then effectively do micro shavings of the brain to study the different layers and, you know, try and identify major areas where OCD might be located in the brain. And
was there a success? Did they find out?
I think they were having great amounts of success. I wasn't actually in charge of the research.
Yeah.
I was in charge of creating the presentations for international conferences.
Oh.
So mainly I would take the slices of the brain. My coworker would effectively trace them and with like a vectorizing program, and then I would put them through a how bad is that? Oh, not bad. I'd put them through a 3D model program that would, you know, get a full accurate 3D model of the brain that, like, you can look at the whole thing and see how it's shaped and if there's anything wrong with it and all sorts of stuff. It was actually really cool.
That's kind of crazy, actually.
But the problem is, I had like an ancient Mac for the time, like really old, and that was my work computer. And my boss didn't see fit to ever upgrade our tech because she was a bit of a dinosaur.
Okay.
And so, I had nothing to do for a considerable amount of that job. So I was just sitting around kind of waiting. And so I started reading Wheel of Time as kind of a thing to do while I was there. And eventually they got mad at me for you know, goofing off at work, even though I literally could do nothing else.
Yeah.
So instead I spent the whole time looking at websites because they didn't question that for whatever reason. So I got really addicted to Reddit for the latter half of that job. Which sucked because Wheel of Time was a lot more interesting.
So how far did you get in it?
I finished the first 3 books and then I dropped off. I read really fast. So it was okay. And then I don't know, after that point I didn't have the passion as much because, you know, it was back to school, so I didn't have the time to sit down and read novels.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing I ran into was I didn't like the main characters as much as I wanted to.
Yeah. It's
And then I was looking up some plot synopses, and
don't spoil it.
just kind of
Don't spoil it,
yeah,
please.
I'm not going to. It was just kind of one of those where it's like what I saw of like what happens to the main characters later was just kind of not the way I envisioned from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I guess the equivalent would be like finding out your favorite say if your favorite character was Boromir, in Lord of the Rings, and you're like, oh man, I wonder what happens to Boromir, and then you read it and you're just like, oh. And that's not at all what happens. Like, I actually don't even remember most of the spoilers.
Yeah.
But that's just the closest equivalent I can come up with of just like, yeah, I wanted to keep going with it. I probably should someday. Just because. But it didn't quite have the same level of, ooh, ow.
It's funny you should mention that, actually, because that's like literally exactly where I am right now. I've like just finished the third one and have made a start on the fourth one. So it's like, I understand. I understand what you mean. I feel like I've committed, though, because I was like, I really should read this series that everyone says is like one of the best fantasy worlds there is. It really is huge, and it stretches what, like 14, 15 books or something. It's monstrous.
It stretches longer, I think, than the writer's lifespan.
Yeah, absolutely. He died, and then a guy called Brandon Sanderson picked it up and finished the other 2 or 3, I think, which is just mad.
Sanderson's a pretty good author.
Have you read much of his stuff?
I've tried. Sanderson is very grim in a way that I have trouble with. When we start our D&D campaign, you'll probably see kind of what I mean, but I'm much more in the lighthearted fantasy side of things. It doesn't have to be all sunshine and rainbows, but if everything is too dark and gloomy, I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to read it. So what's a decent example? Well, no. Have you seen the Umbrella Academy?
I have, both seasons.
Okay.
I haven't read the comics, though.
Yeah, I haven't read the comics either, but Umbrella Academy is kind of hard for me to read because in a lot of cases, it feels very... I'm not going to say unnecessary doom and gloomy, but there is definitely this feeling of just kind of like no one catches a break and everything is just kind of always wrong. And that gets kind of exhausting after a while because, life is frustrating enough as it is sometimes.
Dude, I get that. I get that. It's difficult. It's difficult to invest your time in something which is just going to make you sigh loudly,
Yep.
So, no, I get that. I get that. You'll have to explain to me. So, have you played much D&D in your time? Are you?
I've been playing D&D for 20 years, I think. So I've played a fair bit. I dropped off when I hit college because I was super busy with other things and didn't have a good group to play with.
Yeah.
I tried playing with a couple of people, but one was like a group of almost egregious power gamers. So
Yikes! Yeah.
The characters straight up did not have names. It was the cleric, the barbarian, the sorcerer, who I think everybody just called the face, and effectively we played only as the trope that we're supposed to be playing. So I was the cleric, which meant, according to them, I was only supposed to equip healing spells and nothing else.
Snooze.
Which, yeah, well, you say snooze, I literally would take naps.
That's ridiculous.
While the sorcerer would handle all of the roleplay and, like, dialogue, because the sorcerer was the only one with the charisma stat. Like, I had a 16 charisma, but that was not enough, because the sorcerer had an 18 charisma plus some other stuff. Like, I totally could have done things, but I was not allowed to because I was the healer. I was the support character, and so they called me when they needed me. So I switched between being bored playing Flash games, and
at that point, you just have to ask, what is the point of playing? Like,
I stopped showing up.
Yeah, completely fair. Honestly, like that sounds bloomin' miserable.
It was awful.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely
Yeah.
dreadful. Yeah, it sounds miserable.
And
as
then
all
the
heck.
next group I played, imagine a group of guys, all with the personality of Jonas Fatson, but with the bloodlust of Alexa mid Among Us or Secret Hitler. Like,
Right.
it was real fun, but the DM had a breakdown because she couldn't get them to behave.
I can imagine that being a problem. I can see that. I can see that potentially causing some issues. Oh,
So
boy.
like one of them was a barbarian and he was trying to just stitch like the hand of Vecna onto himself. Because what will happen? Character insta dies. You're not supposed to do that.
This might sound like unbelievably stupid, but like I have never played D&D. I've always wanted to, but I kind of don't get it, if that makes sense. So could you
No.
acutely sum up what it's all about? I know that sounds a bit
You know
like,
what?
stupid.
There's no specific good answer there that I can give. For better and worse, because it really is one of those that like it is what you make of it.
Yeah.
And so depending on like what you're trying to go for, it can be a great many things. So if you want it to be full-on Darkest Dungeon, just absolute horrible slog through, you know, the darkest dingy dungeons, your characters are losing their minds, friends dying left and right, and, you know, you are there to win at all costs. Like, you can have it be that,
Yeah.
where the characters don't interact with each other and, you know, there's just death at every turn. I say as I die. Or if you want it to be like a zero combat campaign where you're just like a group of wizard detectives off trying to figure out who stole the moon, like, it really is, I guess it's make-believe for adults,
Yeah.
but with more structure and rules.
So next question is that, I mean, I obviously know what it is because I've tried a fair bit, I would say, to try and get into some like D&D campaigns on YouTube, because there's like a lot of popular things, like a lot of popular campaigns on YouTube that a lot of people play and a lot of people watch and a lot of people enjoy. But I don't know what it is. I just can't get into somebody else's like game, if that makes sense. Is that a thing?
It took me a while. I was trying to watch Critical Role and I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
I think part of it is because like it just makes me want to play and I don't actually care about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that personal connection. The one I got into was the Adventure Zone because they had. Can I actually? What is the range on this gun? Can I hit this thing? No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. I got into that one because they did a bunch of like short summary animations, like the fan base did.
Yeah.
And after a while, I was just kind of like, okay, I'm familiar enough in this that I now want to see how the heck any of this stuff happens, and that was a lot easier.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so many enemies. Let's see. But no, I honestly, somebody else's campaign is difficult, so I can sympathize with not watching somebody else's.
You know, it's just because I have tried, and it's just one of those things, I guess, that I've just not really got into, and nobody I know actually plays the game. So again, I guess that's like another barrier to entry, because nobody's actually ever played it with me, and I've never played it with anyone else. So that's.
Well, turns out like half of the Wholesome verse is quite experienced, which I was kind of surprised about.
I am not surprised at that. I'm not surprised at that. So who have we got? Who plays?
Every
who
YouTube
plays?
and or Twitch group I've ever been part of, I was the only person that had ever played D&D and trying to get, well, with the exception of like one guy who kept getting accidentally brought into porn campaigns, which is,
Excuse me?
we're not doing that.
A what?
There is a subset of people that like to play Dungeons and Dragons to act out some weird lurid fantasies, and they're not great, and I don't know why people do this, especially together. But so
It's
he'd
disappointing.
be in like a campaign with people.
It's disappointing.
And
I've lost all of my interest in this campaign. Then, if we're not going to be doing this, this is disastrous.
Look, if you want to roleplay romancing Maudie, you can do that on your own time.
What? Only I can only have one love interest? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, he was just his. I guess Alexa popped into my head first, but I realized he's not going to be there for the first round or two. So
Alexa will
Get
watch
out of here.
Alexa will watch the first week and immediately realize that it's a lot more pogged than he probably thought it was going to be. That's my bet.
okay, I think I have good news. Nope, I almost have good news.
Okay, hit me.
I got a new annex.
Hey, well done.
There might still be some worms, but I don't see any dudes. It's also covered in Tiberium, which is a bit of a problem.
I mean, is there a way for us to get rid of the Tiberium?
Yeah, I'm just going to quarantine it in water, and I mean, realistically, if we want to, all we have to do is just replace it with, whoops. Oh, interesting. All we have to do is just cover it in water, and then just put landmass on it, or landfill, and it'll just go away. We can't mine it out anymore. The guy, well, our infinite ore mod thought of that. Okay.
Oh,
Also,
yeah.
how much biomass do you want?
A lot. Just if you could turn it into biolabs, then that would be exceptional.
Okay.
Let
Let me just...
Yeah, because it just
Go
takes
for
such a
shots on.
long time.
Yep.
Takes such a long time. Well, we're up to 47% biter evolution as well, by the way.
Already?
Yeah.
Boy. I might want to reset that. I've mostly just been deleting the biters instead, because that seems to kind of do the trick. And they've leveled out in terms of base durability. Wow. Okay.
Oh, that's a huge annex. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, look at all those oil fields. That's
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Oh wow, nice. Very impressive. Congratulations. A modern day explorer,
Well.
conqueror, conquistador.
sure.
Maybe I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Small chance there's an alien nest somewhere in here that I haven't spotted, but I don't think so.
Is anything being damaged at the moment? No,
Not to my knowledge.
don't think so. Nah, that would be fine. You did good. You did good. Ugh. There we go. So yeah, what would your top tips be for D&D to a complete noob like me? Because I mean, I'll be honest, I've not even made a character. I kind of don't actually know what I want. I do want to play, but I don't know what I want, if that makes sense.
So, I think the thing is, do you have much of a background in improv? Like, have you ever looked into how improv works?
No, not even slightly.
Okay. The easiest way to describe it is, I mean, honestly, to some degree, just go with the flow. So if something ridiculous is happening, get into it.
Oh, like absolutely. I think that's in my personality to just, to buy it, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Let's see. So I've been in a lot of campaigns. A lot of them are just kind of long and boring, just dungeon crawls, which can be kind of fun. But I guess here I gotta reset this evolution factor.
Go for it.
It is. I'm having to delete too many of them. The problem is there's no easy just one bit of advice that I can give that fits all.
Yeah.
But effectively, get into the role, whatever role your character is. So, if you are a hardened barbarian that absolutely hates, I mean, could go with
Healing
kind of
healing
ending numbers.
potions.
What are these guys in?
What about
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
So you refuse healing potions.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how badly hurt you are.
Yeah.
Those potions are disgusting to you, and you want nothing to do with them. And that is just going to be your
Thing.
modus operandi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is your thing. And admittedly, that's a little one-dimensional. You want to kind of
Yeah.
build into it. You know, why do you hate healing potions? Well, you know, it turns out all healing potions are being well, let's say they're being distributed specifically by kind of a sub-mafia kind
Okay.
of situation where they've seized the control of most of the alchemy guilds, and you know they sell healing potions just at an egregious price, and you know they often water them down, or you know there are a bunch of, I mean, you just take some parallels with the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
But you know maybe there's black market healing potions, and a lot of people are forced to go that direction instead because they're you know they're cheaper and actually accessible to the public. But it turns out a lot of those are not so great, and so maybe your barbarian ran afoul of one of them, or someone dear to them, you know, drank a bad healing potion, or straight up just potions were too expensive, and then you really get into that kind of weird mindset where you have this vendetta against the healing potion company.
Yeah. Okay.
And anybody remotely connected to that, and alchemists and maybe even wizards are distrustful to you because you have such a bad experience. And constantly look for some reason to play that up.
Yeah.
Because that will make it more interesting to be there. Or you could just be the barbarian that likes to hit stuff, and that is your job.
Yeah.
That is what you do.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm interested in causing mischief. Like, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like I know that if I am to do that, then that ends up like putting extra pressure on you, right? If I'm like correct in saying
It's
that.
actually easier when people get really hard into a role.
Okay.
Because the more other players talk with each other, the less I actually have to talk to the party.
Ah.
Because if everybody's too distracted, you know, doing long dialogue sections with each other or banter, that means I can just sit back and wait, you know, shuffle monsters around and make sure the next couple encounters are prepped and ready to go, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That technically the slower it goes, the better, to some degree. Here's 27 biolabs.
Oh, that is too many. That's great, though. Thank you very much. I was actually just going to throw in some more military tech cards so that we can make some progress on this pickup tower. Okay. So how many campaigns have you DM'd or GM'd even?
So when I was a kid, I did all of the DMing because I was the oldest.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of counts, but at this point, I barely even remember them.
Yeah.
But I did a fair bit when I was younger. And then less in high school because my brother took over because it was his friend group that was really into D&D, and I was just kind of there.
Yeah.
So recently, I've done 4.
Wow. It's a lot, I think.
Yeah, sort of. One was like 100 episodes long on YouTube. The next one was like 12, and the next one was 6, and then the other one just never came out.
100 episodes sounds like quite a considerable investment of time.
Yep, it was a good campaign. Okay, I'm going to never actually finished, unfortunately, because the group broke up.
Ah.
But it was a good campaign. It was good practice. Oh shoot! To make sure I'm on the right side of the moat. Let's see.
All right.
One of the benefits is because I draw all of my own assets for the campaigns, it should be a little easier to get into.
Of course.
I find one of the problems I run into with a lot of D&D campaigns, especially like the ones on Twitch or YouTube, is they're either using pre-made assets, which like, okay, that kind of works, or it's just all purely just face cams pointed at people and they're just talking. And I can't get into those. I try, but I just like, I want that visual aid.
Yeah. So, okay. Wow. It's so interesting. Like, it's a completely different world for me. Like, I've just never, ever done anything like it. Like, I really haven't. It's totally new. But, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
Alt backstory for the barbarian that hates healing potion. Your religion considers all form of healing except for the body's own healing processes to be pulling you away from a glorious death in battle. Yeah, there you go. Short-lived character, probably.
I must confess, I don't really know if I want to go down this line, but I like, you know what, I'm like 90% sure that I don't, you know, it would break with one of the cardinal rules of don't talk about politics or religion on the internet. So I'm just gonna steal credit of that comment. But anyway, yeah, no, I think that would be good actually. I think that would be kind of a unique thing. I also want to be somebody who gets into mischief, because I feel like that is quite complementary to my persona.
I think that's kind of inevitable,
Yeah.
no matter what. As long as you're willing to actually get into stuff. So, I mean, Warlock, Rogue, Sorcerer are probably kind of your best ones for those. They have the biggest toolbox to do weird things. The more fighty your character is, the less mischief you can do, just because I find them to be a little bit specialized.
Yeah, I kind of have like absolutely zero interest in fighting, to be honest. Like, yeah.
There will be
Yeah.
an amount, but I try and keep it quick.